of all the things I've done, the hardest thing I ever did in the military was going to Ranger School. And Ranger School is number one, I had to compete for 16 weeks just to get a slot. So there were 48 of us competing for 2 slots. And after 16 weeks of, a lot of physical training and tests and field exercises, 2 of us got those slots out of the 48. So a 16-week competition for an 8-week course that you go to. And as I said, that was the hardest thing I've ever done in the military. Combat is like a vacation compared to going to Ranger School. So right off the bat, to stress you in Ranger School, you only get 1 meal a day. We're getting about 3 hours of sleep, a day. I don't say at night, a day. And then throw on top of that, I went during the winter. Started the 7th of November in 84 and finished January 30th of 85. And just the cold also. Frostbite on our fingers. My feet were numb for probably 8-9 months afterwards. Lost 35 pounds. Just very, very difficult. Now, I still have dreams about
Army Rangers, that's equivalent to the SEALs of the Navy. Would that be correct?
It's close, a little bit different. Rangers it's all about reconnaissance, patrolling, and some small unit action. Not really the too much of the behind the lines. It's really your conventional light infantry tactics is what Rangers. But still very difficult. We had because of the weather for us, you had about a 70% washout rate of the people who were in our original class. There's 3 phases, and so each phase, if you wash out, they make you redo it. And if you pass that phase and get in the second one, you wash out, you only have to redo that phase. And so it's very difficult, and there were only 30% of us that made it through all 3 phases without failing or having to wash out.
So you're one of 2 who got one of those
I was 2 of 48 that started.
Right. So my question is, what was the secret? Where did the strength come from?
One was just being in shape. I was 22 years old, and so you could run forever. And also being a little bit larger in size, you could carry the heavy rucksacks and stuff like that. So that's what helped out a lot, and also just the mental attitude that you're going to do it. There is no failure. You're not looking for a way out. You're looking for a way to graduate and do it. It was so rare for an armor guy that when I went to my unit, I was the only lieutenant that had been to Ranger School in my whole battalion. The battalion commander and I were the only 2 in the whole battalion, because armor guys just didn't go to Ranger School. It was an infantry thing. And so it was that's why they only gave us 2 slots to start with. But as I said, it was just difficult. But it was also exhilarating that, good, hard training, road marches, 5-mile runs, the hand-to-hand combat, but just the mental of trying to overcome the cold was that was probably the most difficult. And if, like when we were in Florida, it was supposed to be swamp phase, it was 12 degrees. So you're busting through the rivers and all that the water in the river was actually warmer than the air temperature. So you'd actually get in the water and feel warmer than when you got out. You would spend, if it was really bad, you might, we put our rucksacks down, and you'd sit on your rucksack, throw your poncho over with your buddy, and you would snuggle up with your buddy to keep warm. In the desert, it would get down to about 8 degrees at night, and we would dig into the desert, and you put a poncho down, because you didn't have sleeping bags. You had a poncho and a quilted liner that went with it. and you get 3 of you, and you'd all lay together, and then put the other 2 ponchos on top, and just roll up like a Ranger burrito, and try to stay warm. And if it got really bad on your feet, you'd put your feet under each other's armpits, and try to sleep that way, just to stay warm. No fires, no sleeping bags, no heaters, nothing. It was, and when you're patrolling when it's cold, all you could have on was your normal shirt and a t-shirt. You didn't have jacket, you couldn't wear a toboggan, anything like that.
Anybody get frostbitten?
Absolutely. There have been students who died. There were students who died a couple classes before mine and a couple years after mine, where they died of hypothermia. Mm-hmm. We had 2 people go down with hypothermia one night. We're on a landing craft out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. And it was, the temperature was just dropping. We had 2 go into hypothermia then. Because it's just a mental battle, and you just can't give up when it's cold, or it'll catch up. You're always having to fight to figure out how to stay warm. Nights I would run circles sometimes just to keep my feet warm, because I was afraid if I fell asleep, my feet would freeze. So you just walk until the sun came up.